Kia ora everyone, my name's Zach, I love rugby. Welcome back to Hakatime Rugby. Dominant display from the Springboks. They take this one 33 points to 7. Morgan Turanui said it best. There was a lot of issues with the commentary, actually, the Australian commentary that I watched. But, there was a really apt description of this one from Morgan Turanui. He said that this was a thorough examination for the Wallabies at every significant part of the game. The Springboks team has really evolved as a team that is able to at least take its sort of DNA and strengths, and has now added and evolved to add a number of innovations into the game, which we're going to touch on. And it could be, throwing two people up in the line out and passing the ball in between to change the pivot of the attacking wall. It could be Cheslin Colby popping up to throw the ball into either the line out or to feed the ball into the scrum to allow extra options in terms of attack, right? With Kobak Rainak attacking there from the midfield. I mean, these are all innovations at the game that we are seeing the Springboks lead, and it is translating into dominant performance and huge scorelines like this. So, and the scary thing about this performance is that they actually left points on the table here. That could easily have been 40 points at half time. A couple of options that weren't taken and other sort of executional factors probably limited that, and probably the great scrambled defence, at least in the first half from the Wallabies. It's hard to give them a lot of praise around the defence when you can see 21 points to 0 in the first half, but that could have been a lot worse. So we'll get into the key moments of the game though. So starting out with obviously the Siya Kolisi try. So in the lead up to this, there were a couple of important observations that I saw. The first is the tactical kicking or lack of execution around tactical kicking from Jake Gordon and Noah Lolesio was a real problem. Turnover in possession gave the Springboks some great attacking opportunities, counter-attacking opportunities there. So, and we saw Jake Gordon and Noah Lolesio go into their shell a little bit around tactical kicking. It seemed like those sort of early poor executional factors translated to a reluctance to kick the ball away. And it meant that the Wallabies were really struggling to make any significant ground or win arm wrestles when they went into the shell somewhat around the tactical kicking. But it did mean that in the early exchanges and in the first half, there was huge positional advantage for the Springboks. And they were able to translate that into forward dominance. And that is largely what led to that first Siya Kolisi try. So he was able to come up off an attacking maul and score that try. They did have a couple of opportunities earlier than that with the attacking maul, but just the weight of pressure was able to get him over the line. The next important moments, the Peter Steph du Toit try. So in the lead up to that one, probably the 18th minute, there was a significant moment where Sasha Feinberg was able to get a break. And he just, he had a great debut to his international career here. Slots into the system well that the Springboks are driving. There is a real cohesion here in terms of the Springbok systems, and you can almost interchange players into it. This is a great example. A young man coming in on debut, and yes, he had some, let's say, early nerves and jitters with that first conversion that he took, in terms of missing a kick at goal. But, he was able to still persevere and came up really, really well, I thought, in this game. So this try in particular, or the lead up to the try in the 18th minute that I'm referring to, he was able to attack around the width, get a break, offload to Willie Leroux, and Willie Leroux had options either side, the left and the right side of his attacking play. And he elected not to go with either, and instead to try and attack himself, and was tackled, botching a try there. But that's an example where there are points left on the table here from the Springboks, and that that could have been an opportunity that they took there to put more points and pressure on. Shortly afterwards, 5 minutes later, Peter Steph du Toit scores anyway, and this is another one of these evolutions where we are seeing Peter Steph du Toit and Siya Kolisi pop up as attacking options on the fringes. We saw it against Ireland, where he's able to use his offloading ability on the edges, and also just carve off really significant meters on the edges of the attacking play. And in this one, he pops up at the right spot, running at hard at pace, big man versus little man, just able to crash over the line very easily there. So fantastic work from him. And we're just continuing to see these evolutions. Now, Andrew Callaway does go off with the yellow card there at the 29th minute. And Aronsay scores 5 minutes after that. So really nothing on. I mean, they were attacking in the red zone, obviously. The ball pops out. Aronsay goes back to collect it. And then what he finds is tired, and somewhat lazy defence. Now, defence is an attitude. We know that. This is, a number of players will sort of look at this and think they should never have missed those opportunities in terms of those defensive plays. But, he basically went through the forward pack, including the captain, to score this try. One observation that I had, obviously, you've got tiring forwards towards the end of the game, so towards the end of the half, I should say. So these types of things happen. But Bobby V defending more on the fridges, I thought was a real challenge for him. He defends better up the middle when he's playing 8, as opposed to on the edges here at 6. So he's caught out a number of times. Both Sasha Feinberg caught him out, as well as in this example, he rushed out of the line to defend Kurtley Aronset, leaving a gap in the defensive line, allowing Aronset to expose that and putting him one-on-one with Alan Alatoa there in that possession. So the Springboks go into halftime at 21-0. As I mentioned, they should have put more points on in this one. It could have been 40, it could have been, and it's just showing the evolution and the innovations that the Springboks are introducing. It's just a real joy to see. Now, as we look into other moments in the second half, so Quagga Smith comes on as part of the rotation, just shows his impact as per usual. And this is the thing, I mean, the bomb squad wasn't used in its traditional way in this one, where it's a full rotation of the forwards, and instead it was sort of an injection of players at certain key moments. And Quagga Smith is just that real impact player, able to come on and just give you some fantastic energy and go forward. I remember it was Russie talking about battle stats, and he was one player in particular who leads the battle stats, and that is where he has positive impact on various areas of the game. Just a great player, and in that impact role is just a great opportunity for him there. Kurtley Aronset gets his second try later in the game, and then we saw a period where the Springboks were really maybe just lacking a bit in standards, giving away yellow cards, 3 yellow cards towards the end. They won't be happy with how they closed this game. The Wallabies able to score a try there towards the death and had opportunities at tries later in the game as well. But the Springboks, running away with this one, 33 points to 7. So a lot to unpack, and a lot that we have unpacked in this game around the Springboks' evolution, their dominance at the moment, and the variation that they're playing with. I mean, the execution is superb. They can bring in players just to slot into the system, where there's a lot of trust in this team. And, I'll give a mention to the centre pairing there as well of Damien Dialinde and Jesse Creel. Jesse Creel, just in terms of his rush defence, has been fantastic. The Wallabies unable to make any significant breaks really through this back line. Testament to those guys and their defensive prowess. But also just, we touched on it, some of the innovations, throwing 2 people up in the line out to change the point of the attacking maul, using Cheslin Colby in various situations to allow overlaps. Cheslin Colby even attacking down the centre channel at times. It's just the Springboks look at the game with a fresh pair of eyes and are not bogged down by the dogma of traditional ways of thinking and traditional ways of attacking. So we're seeing innovation, and that is leading to a team who is dominating world rugby at the moment. In terms of variation, in terms of attack, this might be the most well-balanced variation and attack that I've ever seen of any team, which is saying a lot, and I don't mean to be hyperbolic, obviously, but the options that I see on display here are, in some cases they harken back to those great All Blacks teams of the early 2010s, let's say, but it's on a level that I haven't seen before. So, huge congratulations to the Springboks. For the Wallabies, there is a lot to do to turn things around. This is a real acid test for Joe Schmidt. It'll be interesting how he, comes back and what he does in terms of his options for the next game. But what I will say is that, there's a lack of depth here in Australian rugby, and I think we're going to have to see some of those bigger names come back and have an impact if the Wallabies are to be competitive in some of these games. I'll leave it there, guys. A lot covered. It'll be interesting now. It's only week 1 of the Rugby Championship, so I don't think anyone for any of the results of the weekend should get ahead of themselves. But great performance, Springboks. Wallabies with work to do. Roll into week 2 of the Rugby Championship. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. I'll see you next week.